Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/ProRevenge. In today's episode, threaten to kill me? I'll take your life away instead. Steal my design and get all the credits? Enjoy getting kicked off. Don't scam a bot developer. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Threaten to kill me? I'll take your life away instead. Evening Reddit, apologies for the length of this in advance, but Bill Shaky I am not, so I'll most likely go off on a tangent a lot, possibly constantly, actually. This particular story has just come to a head today, largely thanks to the persistently predictable actions of this story's antagonist, who we'll call Fuckhead, because that's what he is. Around a year ago-ish, I moved into a new apartment, not in a great part of the city, but could be considered bang average. When I first moved in, I was assured everything would be rosy, and I'd be left to my own devices. Enter, Fuckhead. Fuckhead is, as his name suggests, a total piece of shit. He has shared custody of his son, which is frankly an oversight of the legal system, but hey, and he absolutely loves to get plastered and scream at the kid, either via phone or in person. The kid is around 13 I think, and his name's not totally important, mainly because the kid's got enough grief. This went on for about 2 to 3 months, so I tried befriending Fuckhead, mostly because I'm an idiot, but also to find out just what his issue was, because having headphones in on max volume listening to heavy metal, and still being able to hear Fuckhead screaming was becoming an issue, to say the least. I put up with it for a bit, mentioning it in passing to who I guess is my building manager. He's really just a guy that's lived there for years and is mates with the landlord, and he's retired, so can't really blame him for not wanting to get involved. He did mention that Fuckhead had lived here for about 5 years, and had numerous complaints, including the previous tenant, who'd moved out because she'd had enough of his bullshit. He also mentioned that Fuckhead had shared custody because Fuckhead's ex was also a bit of a twat, like seriously, that poor kid, but as such meant an absolute Christload of social workers were involved, even if they clearly weren't very good at their jobs. Anyways, one day Fuckhead was screaming at the top of his lungs again and again, because I'm an idiot, I poked the ceiling with a broom. Just a little tap to say hey friend, just a quick polite note to tell you that the whole fucking neighborhood can hear you, which was greeted by 5 thuds that sounded like Fuckhead was about to bunker bust clean through the ceiling. This naturally pissed me off, so I knocked his door, and he simply opened it and told me to fuck off. Fair enough I thought, as I frankly had better shit to do, so I went for a walk. Upon return, Fuckhead is putting his bins out and starts to give me grief, which I returned in kind, causing him to square up to me and threaten to kill me. I held my ground and he started going on about respect and shit, LMAO no, really, and told me he held all the cards and there was nothing I could do. Unfortunate, but I simply said if that's how you wanna be, then that's how it is, and left him to have his little bitch fit outside. First call was to the police, who took it surprisingly seriously. They came out within an hour and we sat in the Panda car and discussed all of Fuckhead's transgressions, a lot of which I had recorded, mainly to WhatsApp to my friends like hey, dickhead is at it again. They took a statement, said there was likely nothing they could do, but they might investigate Fuckhead on the count of the child abuse and the social worker in place. I then asked them if evidence would help, and they replied it'd save them a lot of time if I could get some, but would need to be recent. Last 3 months okay? Sure they say, but 3 months is a long time, and he might have changed. No Mr. Policeman Officer, I mean covering the last 3 months. Excited he was, to say the least. So they brought me to the station to give a statement and to copy all the evidence off my phone. At this point, big shout out to old phones and removable SD cards, as I really didn't want to explain my meme collection. They spent the next 2 maybe 3 months investigating Fuckhead, as there's a lot of banging to be heard in the videos, which I can only assume is Fuckhead assuming his final Fuckhead form. A few months go by and I'm seeing a lot of open immediately do not ignore type letters arriving in Fuckhead's name, which I think might be off the social workers, but not sure. I do feel particularly bad about this bit, as being a violently abusive alcoholic, he's not quite smart enough to realize it's me that's making his life suck, because the social are on him like a skid mark on a toilet, and he's just screaming at his kid even more because he thinks the kid has grassed him up. Eventually the police have everything in place and serve him with some sort of behavioral order or some shit like that, which frankly wasn't a whole lot, but that was more an aperitif for the meal the social were about to make. Yesterday, armed with a bunch of evidence, a bunch of people, 2 uniformed officers, and my landlord, they arrived at his flat. Partly because that's the only time my landlord had free, and probably partly because Saturday pay for cops and social workers must be fairly decent. Also partly because he has his kid on weekends. Actually probably the main reason, now that I think about it. Since Fuckhead has the kind of voice that makes Brian Blessed sound like a cross between a mime and a church mouse, they can hear everything immediately. They go up into the tight hallways, which is kind of funny, because they're all trying to social distance, so it kinda looks like they're queuing up to give Fuckhead a bull-locking, in true British fashion. It ended with Fuckhead being lead away in cuffs, because of course he fought back. The guy's a fucktard, it's totally in his nature. He's since come back today, with a very defeated look on his face. Turns out the behavior order was a bit of a warning, and they'd been watching the house on and off all week. Super glad I gave up smoking weed at this point, and they've heard some of the Dolby surround phone conversations, and have now charged him with a bunch of shit I frankly don't understand. I'm not a cop, and I know mostly shite all about the law except the ones I don't like, which has had, and will have several knock-on effects. Firstly, no more contact with his kid, a minor victory since his mum is a bit of a cunt, but they're under a microscope now so maybe that'll help. Secondly, my landlord was especially not chill about being contacted by both me and the police regarding Fuckhead. So is using one of the charges or something to speed up the eviction process. This is annoyingly still going to take about 2 weeks, but I'm sure I'll live, meaning it's not the current 6-month COVID guidelines. Thirdly, he's going to have to go in tomorrow and tell his boss that he's gonna need multiple dates off in the possible near future for court dates etc. Oofed. Tough break in this economy. That's likely gonna cost too. Especially since I've seen a bunch of letters from the Provident arriving for him. For those outside the UK, the Provident is kinda like the OG version of those short-term loans with insane interest rates. If you're in the UK, give them a wide berth. All this could have been avoided had Fuckhead just not been, well, a fuckhead. At least in 2 weeks or so I might be able to have a decent night's sleep if it's not ruined by a 2 AM ambulance sirens, or that's asshole with a 3-inch exhaust on his Civic. Might be time for me to move, actually. Steal my design and get all the credits? Enjoy getting kicked off. So my friend over in Korea studies fashion design. She sometimes sends me over the sketches of the designs, and they all look amazing. Then again, I'm not into fashion. She is particularly interested in designing handbags and purses. She told me a story about how she shut down one of the most entitled, self-centered, lazy students on campus. Cast: Grace, our main character girl. Jane, the evil one. Professor, the instructor of the course. Story: At first, Grace and Jane got along just fine. They were both interested in similar stuff, and quickly became BFFs. Grace decided to show Jane her sketches and designs for handbags and purses, and Jane was so impressed by it. Because the sketches were in incredible detail, including all the patterns and sew lines, coupled with figurative measurements. Even Professor was impressed by it, and it was no surprise that Grace got a high mark on their first major exam. Jane didn't do so well, and practically followed Grace everywhere to get pointers on how to do better. So Grace decided to help her out. Unfortunately, Jane turned out to be one of the most entitled, lazy, and selfish people that Grace has ever met. Things that Jane did to piss Grace off included, but not limited to: not paying attention, being late on their study session, never showed appreciation, didn't pay for coffee or snack, complaining annoyingly about how hard it was to draw something. Grace pretty much gave up on her after a week, refusing to meet Jane outside of her class. Time went by and for their midterm, everyone in the class had to do a presentation on the stuff they had designed. When it was Jane's turn, Grace was shocked to see Jane had stolen one of her designs. Thankfully Grace had multiple designs going on so there were no conflicts when it was her turn to present, but she was seething with rage. Grace had a meeting with the professor afterwards, and the professor knew what was going on, but couldn't really do anything with Jane because it turns out she was the daughter of the chairman or one of the major investors. Grace said she can't recall. The chairman apparently blackmailed the professor into giving Jane the best grades. The revenge. Professor did, however, help Grace devise a plan to humiliate and expose Jane. For the finals, the professor announced to the class they would do another presentation, but it would be 3 designs and advised they had to bring their A games because professionals from industries would be grading their work, and the head of the department and the chairman would be there as well. So you know how Grace had a bunch of sketches for the class? Well, Grace also had a separate sketchbook that had designs from major brands. MK, Coach, you name it. She never used these directly for class assignments, but rather as inspirations for her designs. Grace pretended to be all friendly with Jane again, and brought the other sketchbook on their meetings, still putting up with all the problems mentioned above. Grace secretly worked tirelessly on her new design, and did her best to keep it a secret from Jane. So the day of the final presentation arrives and Grace and Professor are grinning because they know what is about to happen. Grace went first, and she got a lot of praise from the judges. After a few more presentations, the last one to go was Jane. Jane's presentation turned out to be another copycat, copying designs of not 1, not 2, but 3 different companies. After the presentation, this was how it went all down, at least according to Grace. Judge 1. So you are saying you designed all these by yourself, right? Jane, that's right. Judge 1, and you swear that it really was your design, and didn't copy off from anything else, right? Jane, I swear. Judge 1, you are aware your designs are from 3 brands? Jane, huh? Judge 1, are you aware that these are on market right now, and some of the most popular designs? Jane, wait, hold on dash. Judge 2, yeah, I was going to bring this up. If you had worked for any brands, you would have probably been fired or worst case, sued. Jane, but dash. Judge 2, please, I am not done yet. Did you honestly think this would work? We, the judges, have been in the industry for over 10 years. We know a copycat when we see it. Jane, but these aren't even my designs. They are from Grace. Judge 3, to Grace, is this true? Grace, yes, but I'd never use them for major projects nor call them my work, I just use sketches of them as inspirations for my own designs. Judge 3, well, that was clear from your presentation. Turning back to Jane, now, Ms. Jane, this is a clear case of plagiarism, and I do hope your school is merciful on this matter. After the presentation was over, the chairman screamed at the professor in front of everyone, not realizing he just revealed all the blackmailing and the secret grade deal. Jane tried to call out Grace on how you screwed me over, but it really didn't matter. No one listened to Jane's attempt and slander, and was kicked out of the school. Chairman pretty much lost all support and had to resign, and was replaced by far more honorable and competent one. Don't scam a bot developer. Hello, this is my first ever post here, and it might not be the best, but just thought I'd share it. I develop bots for people on Discord, a chat platform for those who somehow don't know. One day, I checked for hiring in a developer server and saw a job of making a simple bot for a cafe group. I messaged the owner and got the job. I coded the bot the next day and waited for a response from the owner. It turns out that the owner was taking a break from Discord, so about a week later, when she was finally back, she'd met me and I fixed the final bug and showed them the bot. Right away, they said thank you for the bot, have a great day, took away my admin role in the server, and blocked me. However, it didn't occur to her that I might be able to give myself admin with the bot. I immediately set the permissions that everyone gets on join to administrator. I am an admin in a bigger Discord server, with about 300 members. I mentioned everyone and told them to join this server, and of course, they notice they have admin. Within 10 minutes, the server is completely destroyed. I haven't seen their reaction since I left the server, but I bet they will never scam anyone ever again. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.